What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering. I've got a lot of on-the-ground stuff to do today. I'll be live streaming with Luke Rutkowski at noon, and then I think again at 5 on Rumble, on my channel at noon, and his channel at 5. Lots of interesting stuff to talk about today. Obviously, the Tucker and Trump thing will be a thing tonight, but for right now, we finally have an apology from Bud Light, and it's an interesting one. It's one way to, I guess, apologize. I'm not really sure that this is going to work out for them like they had hoped. That said, Modelo Especial now is officially America's best-selling beer as it dethrones Bud Light in the wake of the Dylan Mulvaney controversy, as its sales dipped 26.7% year on year. Now, we've already seen this headline multiple times, week over week over week. You know, the trend has continued, but now apparently it's official. I don't know what makes it official. Let's see. Modelo Especial has officially triumphed over Bud Light as America's best-selling beer, according to new data from grocery stores and retailers. Sales of Modelo have so far this year surpassed Bud Light's, whose sales slumped in the wake of the Dylan controversy. The Mexican lager trounced Bud Light in off-premise beer sales in May, June, and July, holding a 9.1% share for the past 4 weeks as Bud Light slipped to a 7% share. New York-based Constellation Brands, who distribute Modelo, posted an 11% increase in sales in its second quarter earnings, boosted by its beer business, which also includes Corona. Bud Light volumes were also down 26.7% as it struggles to put the public relations disaster partnering with prominent influencer behind them. Well, I mean, we've been saying this for months. I mean, they just have to apologize, and we're going to see what their apology was and see if it's sufficient, because I don't think it's going to be. But what's interesting is they should have just owned it immediately, like Heckler and Koch. When they had that tweet, maybe they even meant to do, maybe it was all PR stunt. It was handled too perfectly. But Bud Light refused to do that because they're a global company, and of course, they must spread the message. Modelo's victory seemed inevitable for at least the last several months, but the timeline accelerated since Bud Light's trends dramatically got worse in April. Benji Steinman, president of Beer Marketers Insight, told CNN. It happened far faster than most people expected. Greg Gallagher, vice president of brand marketing for Constellation, told CNN that the company has been enjoying an incredible run of success and has been aiming to expand the dominance it has with Hispanic drinkers, not Latinx, to more demographics. Our growth is maintaining at the core, blah, 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 blah. Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light's parent company, has lost a whopping $390 million in U.S. sales in the wake of its partnership. The world's largest beer brewer blamed the volume decline of Bud Light for the drop of revenue in the second quarter. Well, no kidding. In a recent statement from the company, announced that sales to U.S. retailers had plunged 14%, adding that it had been underperforming the industry. And it's only going to get worse now, of course, as football season starts and people get, that normal consumption increases. If you look at this too, sales slumps at Target and Bud Light may fuel more boycotts. Good then. I think they absolutely should. They should. The regular people have been empowered. And, I think that you have to still pick your spots pretty carefully. You don't want to be overreacting to every little thing. But if you pick your spots wisely and you can be well coordinated, you can make a change. Target sale decline over the last 3-month period, for the very first time in 6 years. The company announced last week, attributing its loss in part to what the company's executive vice president described as a strong reaction to their Pride Month display. An anti-LGBTQ boycott, it wasn't anti-LGBTQ, erupted in May over the company's Pride merchandise, prompting it to remove some items from its store after employees faced harassment. Now, I don't think it's okay if people were giving the business to employees there. They don't make those decisions, and working retail isn't exactly the most fulfilling job on the planet. I've worked for retail. I've worked for many years, and you don't make the decisions. I remember people coming when I was working at Walmart being like, you guys got to unionize, man. And I was like, bro, I'm in college. I'm just trying to get enough money to make sure I have enough gas in my car to drive to school tomorrow. I don't really care about your big geopolitical opinions about Walmart. Anyway, the sales dent at Target marks the latest sign of success for right-wing consumer advocates following the month-long slump for Bud Light that coincided with the boycott of course, Dylan Mulvaney. Consumer boycotts typically fail, but the recent protests have thrived in the contentious cultural moment steeped in political division, exacerbated by the onset of the 2024 president election. Disagree. And supercharged by social media. That part I agree with. Moreover, the successes could fuel further attempts emboldening anti-LGBTQ advocates, activists, imperiling companies they added. Well, I mean, I think, look, again, I think you want to be careful and not like overreact to every little thing, not just because you may think it's important and I don't, or someone else might not, but because you only can, if you're, it's like if you become the boy they call cried wolf. You pick your spots and you go hard, and you make a dent, and then you move on to something else. If you spread out your forces too thinly, you're not going to have enough buy-in to actually have an effect. Now, of course, they're talking about Gerald Davis, a professor of management at University of Michigan Graduate School of Business, who studies consumer boycotts, said the possible policy shift would energize, again, anti-LGBTQ. That's not what this boycotts were about. If the company caves and the boycotters claim the scalp, you'll see more of it, Davis said. Actually, you could really look at it this way and say, I mean, Bud Light never caved, did they? I mean, we've got their apology here. It's going to be interesting, but they never really caved. They just kept on keeping on. They had this mealy mouth kind of tweet along the way, but really they just kept their head down and kept spreading the message. During recent boycotts against Anheuser-Busch and Target, the protests gained momentum after initial response from the companies were perceived as conciliatory by some LGBTQ advocates. Well, what ended up happening was, when Target moved certain merchandise to the backs of the stores, then you actually had woke leftists, that people were calling in threats, all this allegedly, all this kind of stuff. There were email campaigns that were going out saying that, you had to evacuate the stores, all this kind of stuff. Well, I don't support that from either side, but here we have Bud Light offers unique apology to beer drinkers. The beer brand has lost about 30% of its sales, of course, since we know Dylan, the brand destroyer, was involved. Haven't seen much of Dylan lately, have you? I've got a feeling. No, I'm gonna do that. I've got a feeling that it's going to be a long time till you see Dylan's face on any major brand that isn't a makeup company. I feel like makeup companies are relatively insulated against this because they've convinced a lot of men that they need to wear makeup too now. But anyway, the ill-fated promotion, an attempt to expand Anheuser-Busch's brand into the 0.01% of the population, failed on multiple levels. Of course, not only did they piss everyone off, but then the company did not exactly have Dylan's back once the backlash hit. Those two things led to the sales slump, which in turn saw the brand fall behind Modelo as the best-selling beer. Since the backlash hit, Budweiser has been trying to take business as usual approach. The company has been posting on social media as it usually has, which has prompted as many mocking and hateful responses as respectful ones. Essentially, that's one way to put that they are just getting endlessly ratioed. It's a tough position for any brand. Not really, they could have just apologized. Bud Light can't directly apologize because that would say that partnering with a trans person was wrong. Disagree with that. The company was a mistake for the brand based on the makeup of its core audience, but the traditional apology would itself have been wrong and create a whole new set of problems. Well, again, it wasn't just the fact that you work with Dylan that led to the boycott. I mean, that was the initial kind of flashpoint, I would say. But the reality is, it was everything else after that. Alyssa Heinerschneid calling their customers fratty and the brand was out of touch and all this kind of stuff. You have all these, super rich people that never had to struggle for anything in their life trying to pretend they understand what it's like to be blue collar. Of course, so instead of an apology, Anheuser-Busch is taking a different track. The beer company is now giving away free stuff to customers as a de facto I'm sorry, as if a spouse who opted to hang out with friends when their partner was expecting to be taken to a fancy dinner buys flowers as a peace offering. While the giveaway is generous, the question is of will work is open. Anheuser-Busch has had to cut workers due to falling Bud Light sales. That forces the company to keep trying to win customers back, even if one effort or another fails. For the most part, Budweiser has opted to return to its classic marketing tropes, think Americana, football, and people having a good time. Now the company has begun a new contest where people willing to turn over their email addresses get a chance to win free NFL Sunday ticket subscriptions or gift cards to the NFL store. To participate, all you have to do is create an account on the site and then accept their marketing forever and ever. I mean, it says here, in many ways, Budweiser is trying to change the narrative around its brand. While many make good efforts are transparent, they might be working. Well, it's difficult to say. Not where I live. But the fact is that they're giving away free stuff to try to get people to come back. Is it just maybe they had that timed anyway, but I'm not exactly sure that that's an apology that's going to ring true to people that have abandoned the brand. But hey, maybe will a chance to win free NFL Sunday ticket work for you to come back and drink Bud Light? I suspect you're leaving a like right now and saying that you would agree that is not enough. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I hope I will earn your subscription today. There's a button down below to subscribe or follow, and I hope that I'll earn that, and we'll talk to you again real soon.